Well, we're in the middle. We're in our second week of a message series called Strapped. And last week, let me just fill you in real quick if you missed last week. We talked about having a godly perspective on money, and we talked about the temptations. When it comes to money, we're tempted to serve money, we're tempted to love money. And then we talked about how to overcome those temptations. And basically, it came down to that we need to focus on what's important. How do we stay focused? Don't worry, be happy. Remember that one, don't worry, be happy. And put God at the center of your life. That's what we talked about last week. Today's going to be a little more practical, actually a lot more practical. And if you look at your sermon notes, it's 2 pages. So we're going to be here for a couple hours. I'm just kidding. We're not being. Actually, this will probably be one of the shorter sermons I preach, but very practical stuff. And if you want to take notes, I hope you do, because there's a lot of stuff that you can apply to your lives by what I'm going to say this morning. So hopefully you'll take notes, and we'll get through this pretty quickly. So very practical today. How many remember the old rule? If you don't have the money to buy what you want, then you're not allowed to. Yeah, okay, a few of you do remember that. Now, the younger crowd, like my age and younger maybe, we're going, what? If you don't have the money to buy something you want, you don't buy it? What? I don't understand that. What do? We charge. That's right, we charge it. We slide that credit card through and you know, everything's good to go. And people my age and older, younger, whatever, we're in a lot of debt because we want stuff right now. Let me give you a little factoid. This is kind of interesting. Before the Great Depression, only 2% of the homes in America had a mortgage against them. 2%. Just 40 years later, after the Great Depression, 40 years later, only 2% of the homes in America did not have a mortgage. Isn't that amazing? That's how quickly things change around here, and it just seems to be getting faster and faster. Now, some of you may remember your mom and dad saving and doing the penny pinching thing, and you know, you watched them, and when you grew up, you said, "There's no way I'm going to be a part of that. I am not saving tinfoil. You know, I'm not going to pinch pennies. This is crazy, man." So what did you do? Well, you went out and you said, we're going to party, we're going to have a good time, we're going to get everything we want. And unfortunately, a lot of people your age today can't retire because they've never really learned how to save up. They're still working because they just didn't learn how to save up. And unfortunately, what we find from generation to generation is a growing mindset of entitlement. I want what I want, and what I want is I want it right now. And it's getting worse and worse. I see it. The idea is that we deserve to have the nice house and the nice car and the nice vacation right now, like my parents have right now. We deserve this right now. And so, people in my generation and younger, we've got the stuff, but we've got the debt. It's true, we've got the debt. We don't really own the stuff, and what we are is strapped. We're so strapped that we just feel in bondage to our money and to our things. Now, I think there are 3 groups of people in our country today. There are the haves, the have-nots, and I want to make sure I get this right, that have not paid for what they've got. Okay? People are in debt, people are in bondage, people are strapped. And our key verse for this series comes from Proverbs 22, verse 7, and it says, "Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender." We talked about last week how being a servant to the lender, it's like being a slave. Your lenders own you. So how do we get out from under the servitude of debt? How do I free myself from being a slave to my money? I'm going to give you 3 essential values to apply to your lives this morning. And again, very practical what we're going to be talking about here a little bit. But these are absolutely essential if we really want to become unstrapped and debt-free. Okay, so let's dive in. How many of you do the grocery shopping for your family? Let me see those hands. Okay, very good. My hand is raised. Believe Believe it or not, I do the grocery shopping for our family, and I enjoy it, all right? But if I've seen it once, I've seen it a million times. You roll up to the checkout counter, and there it is. The Great Wall of Candy. All right? And you know why they put that there? I think that they put that there to make the 2-year-olds scream at the top of their lungs because their moms are saying, no, you can't have that candy bar. That's why they put that there, right? No, that's not really why they put that there, but that's what I think in my mind. They put that there, why? Because it's an impulse buy, right? It's an impulse buy. You know the 2-year-old screaming, oh, I like M&Ms. And I love my M&Ms. And don't get me wrong, when it comes to M&Ms, it's hard for me to pass up that sugary treat. So there you are at the checkout line. The kid's screaming at the top of his lungs, I want, I want, I want. But what happens when that kid inside of us comes to life? And it's not just over a candy bar, but it's over a dress, or a ring, or a car, or a house, or a nice vacation. And that little kid inside of us is screaming, I want it now, I gotta have it. And so what do? We charge it, we go into debt, we do what we can to get it because that's who we are. That little child comes alive, I want it now. Now the problem for a lot of us is we just can't say no. It's pretty hard to say no sometimes, you know? We don't have the guts. And if we really want to get out of debt, we've got to learn how to say no. So our first value is we need to embrace the value of self-control. When it comes to getting out of debt, when it comes to our money, when it comes to glorifying God with what we have, we need to learn to have self-control. We need to learn to say no. If it's not necessary, like the old rule says, then you're not allowed to buy it. We're going to practice the art of saying no right now, okay? Now, ladies, I'm going to start with you, because I like to pick on the ladies. It's a lot of fun. So here we go. We're going to practice the art of saying no, okay? So, ladies, is it really necessary for you to get your nails done every week? No. I got a few saying no and a few shaking their heads. Yes, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. But it's not necessary, okay? And I want to let you in a little secret, ladies. All right? To guys, it's really not that big a deal, you know? When was the last time you really heard a guy say, oh, dude, check out the nails on that chick? We're not looking at your nails, okay? It's true. But if you really want to get out of debt, if you're really looking to get out of debt, it's not necessary to have your nails done every week. Now, okay, men. This one hurts me, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Men, is it really necessary that you play golf? Yes. Every week? Yes, it is. You got to keep up on your form, right? But if you really, it hurts me to do a little bit of golf, but if you really are looking to get out of debt, save that money, put it away, get out of debt. It's not necessary, okay? Now let's practice the art of saying no a little bit more, okay? Do you really need that $4 cup of caffeine every morning? Do I have that? No, okay. Yes. Do you or does your 12-year-old really need the new iPhone 5? Yes. The answer is no. If you're trying to get out of debt, no. Okay. Do you really need that brand new car when you know that when you drive it off the parking lot, 20% of it depreciates right then and there? Do you really need that brand new car? The answer is no. And I'm talking about, now I'm not saying don't have fun. Don't have fun with your life. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is if you're really looking to get out of debt, some of these things in our lives aren't that necessary. So we've got to learn to have self-control when we're walking through the grocery store, or down at the car lot. Can I have the ability to say no? So once you get out of debt, go and buy the car with the butt warmers. Those are pretty nice. Okay? But get out of debt first, okay? And girls, ladies, if you want to get your nails done every week and you want to get polka dots on them, that's fine. Get out of debt first, and then you'll pretend that guys really like that kind of thing. Okay? All right? But go for it. Once you're out of while you're getting out of debt, we've got to learn to have this self-control. We've got to learn to say no. We're going to say no for a little while so that we can say yes for the rest of our lives. Okay, so we're going to learn the value of self-control. Proverbs 25:28 says, a person without self-control is as defenseless as a city with broken down walls. You get that image there? You know, back then cities had these walls and it was their protection. So if you don't have financial self-control, you're like a city without walls. You're defenseless to attacks. You're vulnerable to debt. You have no defense against the ploys of the evil one financially. With no self-control, you end up in trouble. Let me give you the second value. You've got to have self-control, but we also need to embrace the value of sacrifice. You've got to embrace the value of sacrifice. Now, if you read the Bible from cover to cover, the major theme in there is sacrifice. You know, you look at it from the time of Cain and Abel to Moses and the Israelites. From the time Jesus sacrificing himself on the cross to the time of Paul and his plea to the Romans and to us to offer our bodies as living sacrifices that are holy and pleasing to God. So we're called to make sacrifices. And remember Hebrews 12:2 from way back when I first got here, we talked about this. Let us fix our eyes on who? Yeah, he's the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, sacrificed himself, scorning its shame, sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Here's Jesus embracing this value of sacrifice, giving up something that he loved for something that he loves even more, and that's you and me. It was the joy set before him. Sacrifice is giving up something that you love in order to gain something that you love even more. You might love watching cable television. I know I do. But you might love even more a debt-free Christmas. You might love to live in a bigger house, right? Be great. But you might love even more maybe raising your kids. One of you staying at home and raising your kids. You might love going to lunch every day. You know, and spending, $7 or $8 on a sandwich and fries and another $1.50 on a drink. You know, so when it's all said and done, you got $10, blown out the window. But you might love even more to pay off your car. And so maybe you sacrifice the cable television. You sacrifice having the bigger house and a $10 lunch every day in order to live a debt-free life. Okay? One of the problems in our culture today is that I think we're asking the wrong questions. You know, we go down to the car dealership or whatever, we ask, so how much do you want down and how much is it going to be a month? Instead, we should be asking, how much is it in the long term? What is this going to cost me in the end? After months and months and months of payments, what is the real cost? So I want to show you a real example, a simple example. Now, for those of you who are older, I don't want you to miss the power of this. It's kind of really cool. Those of you who are younger, I want you to catch how important and how real what you can learn from this. And I want to think about how different your life could be 10, 20 years down the road if you actually embrace these values. Okay, now, remember I gave you some statistics last week. And one of those statistics stated that the average credit card debt in America per person is over $14,000, $14,517. Now, how did they get that debt? You know, a lot of you came to me and said, I can't even imagine it. That's crazy, you know, it's just insane. How did they get that debt? Well, it's kind of easy, you know. I want to take the kids to Disney World. Well, they don't have the money saved up for that, so what do? Charge it, baby! All right, run it through the machine. So you go to Disney World, boom, there's a lot of money charged up in your credit card. I gotta have a theater surround sound system for my one-bedroom apartment because, man, it's gonna explode in there, right? So what do? I don't have the money for that. I charge it. Okay? And then pretty soon you're charging everything. You go out to eat, you do this, you do that. There's $20 here, $100 here. Before you know it, we got people that are in debt up up to over $14,000 on their credit cards, okay? Now, what is the real cost in paying on that? $14,000 has been racked up on your credit card, and let's assume that you decide to make the minimum payment each month. That'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $200 or $220. You know, most credit cards carry about an 18% interest rate. And if you simply pay the minimum payment, how many years do you think it would take to pay off that debt? 5 years? No? Do I hear 7? Anybody's more than 7? 8 maybe? 10? If you pay $217.93 per month on $14,517 to 18%, it's going to take you 40 years to pay off that debt. That's a long time. That's making minimum payments. 40 years. Now check this out. You think that's bad? Guess how much charging $14,000 to your credit card actually costs you over those 40 years? Over $100,000. Over $100,000 to charge your Disney vacation, to charge your supper at a restaurant, to charge for your home theater system that you have to have, right? That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Now, I want to give you 2 more things to look at with this, because this is kind of interesting. Let's say you didn't go to Disney, okay, but you still managed to save up $14,000, over $14,000. And what you did is you worked hard to get that $14,000, and you decided that you were going to invest $14,000 over the next 40 years. Okay? Now, investments on average, over the history of the world, basically, on average earn about 12%. Okay, now you might think that's high right now, and it really is. But markets come and go, and but on average, they earn about 12% on investments. So let's say you earn 12% on $14,000 over 40 years. What kind of return would you get? Over $1 million. $1.35 million. Holy mackerel. Would you rather go to Disney, or would you rather make $1 million? Now, I want to look at one more thing. We're going to take this to another extreme, okay? Let's say you invested that $14,000, and then you decided, remember that $220 a month payment that you're going to pay your credit cards off with? Let's say you decided to invest that $220 a month after you invest the $14,000, and at the same rate, 12% over 40 years, how much would you make then? Over $3.5 million. Disney, invest, I don't know. Let me let that sink in for a second, okay? How much of a difference do you think you could make if you had money like that? With sacrifice and self-control, we can make a huge difference, especially in the kingdom of God, and glorifying God with what we have. I'm not here to tell you to make money just to make money, but what can you do to glorify God with what you have? Here's the third value. We need to embrace the value of planning. We've got to have a plan. We've got to learn sacrifice, we've got to learn self-control, but we've got to learn how to plan with what we have. Okay? Proverbs 21:5 says, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Here's the deal. You can wander into debt. That's pretty easy. All right? It just happens. Charge it here, charge it there, get a car loan here, buy a house, and all that. All of a sudden you're there. But you can't wander out of debt. It just doesn't happen. You've got to have a plan. I would recommend you put together a budget if you haven't done so. And really, I'd like to spend a lot of time putting together a budget with you guys, but really that's more of a one-on-one conversation. I'd love to have that with you if you're interested. So the details of that, I mean, holy mackerel. But what I recommend really, again, I go back to Dave Ramsey, genius when it comes to financial matters. Dave Ramsey is a Christian, and he gives you a lot of practical stuff. The Total Money Makeover is his book. I would recommend you read it. But then there's also a class he teaches. You can buy the videos. We may offer sometime down the road here called Financial Peace University. I know a few of you have been through that class, and it's really good practical stuff. In that class, he teaches you how to budget, how to make a budget, how do you stick with it. But he also gives you some baby steps. And this morning, I want to give you two baby steps that I think we should all apply to our lives, just to kind of get you started, get the ball rolling. So let me give you the first baby step, and this is what we need to do is we need to save $1,000 for emergencies. Okay, $1,000 for emergencies. Things are going to happen in your life. Things are going to happen in your life. Some things are going to break. Someone's going to put a baseball through your window. You know, your refrigerator is going to go down. Your car is going to get a flat tire. Your kid is going to stick a marble up his nose, and you're going to take an emergency room so you get that thing out. Things are going to happen in your life. So I would recommend, Dave Ramsey recommends, save up $1,000 for emergencies. How are you going to get $1,000? Oh my goodness. This is the tough part. I don't know how you're going to get it. You're just going to get it. Okay? You're going to sell some stuff. How about that? Sell some stuff. eBay and Craigslist, they're your new best friends. All right? Sell everything you have. Keep selling and selling and selling until your kids get nervous. Mommy, is Daddy going to sell me too? Sell what you can, sacrifice, buy the things you need, not the things you want, have some self-control, find a way to save $1,000 for emergencies, okay? Now, that's the first step. Let me give you the second one. We'll spend a little more time on this one. It's kind of interesting. But what we're going to do is what Dave Ramsey calls is do the debt snowball. Anybody familiar with the debt snowball? A few of you who've been through his class know what that is. Well, we're going to spend a little time on this, okay? Here's how it works. Up on the screen is an imaginary debt list. I put a spreadsheet in your notes on the back side there, and you can fill it in now, or you can save it, take it home, apply it, use it for your debts. But here's what we're going to do. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got a list of what we owe. In the first column are our debts, the people and businesses that we owe. Okay. In the second column, we have the total that's owed each person or business. Like $450 we owe to Lowe's for the power tools that we've always wanted, right? Gotta have the power tools. Okay. Then we owe $650 to Target. That's for the nice blouse and the skirt. The belt, and the hat to match, and all that good stuff. And don't forget the Oreos and the pickles and the peanut butter that you bought on your credit card when you were pregnant. Okay, so that's what we owe to Target. And then, of course, $1,600 to our parents because last summer our air conditioner broke down. We borrowed life from them to have it repaired, so on and so forth. You can see what we have there. In the third column is our minimum payments. This is what we owe each month to each person in debt. $50 to Lowe's, $30 Target, so on and so forth. Okay? Got a good idea, a good picture of what's going on here, I hope. Here's what's going to happen. We make these payments each month faithfully. On time, I hope. It's our responsibility, I think, as disciples of Christ to do that. And so, we're tired of making these payments. I'm tired of feeling strapped. I'm tired of feeling in debt. And I'm tired of just making these payments. So what are we going to do? Here's what's going to happen. I want you to find an extra sum of money each month. All right, it might be $50, might be $100, might be $200, whatever it is. I want you to find an extra sum of money. Now, again, where am I going to find this extra money? You're crazy. What are you talking about? I barely make ends meet now. Now you want me to find some extra? Yeah, I want you to find some extra money. How are you going to do it? I don't know how you're going to do it. Maybe you get a job delivering pizzas. Maybe you start babysitting. Maybe you dump the satellite TV or the cable TV. Maybe you get rid of your data plan on your cell phone. Dun, dun, dun. Oh man, I don't know about this, Jeremy. Or maybe you stop getting your nails done every week, or you stop golfing every week. I don't know where you're going to get the money, but you're going to get creative and you're going to find some extra sum of money each month, okay? So here's what we're going to do. For the sake of this illustration, I'm going to assume that you're going to find an extra $200 a month in cash somewhere, somehow. And here's how it's going to play out. We're going to start with Lowe's. And with Lowe's, we owe them $450 total owed. We're paying them $50 a month. And so each month now, the new payment, we're going to add to it the $200 a month we found. We're going to add to it the $50 a month. So each month we're going to pay them $250. Now, in a couple of months, Lowe's is gone. We're done with that. Okay? Now the snowball builds and then gets to be rolling. This is the fun part. Now we're going to attack Target. What we do is we take the $250 that we just gave up paying Lowe's, because that's done and over with and it's gone. We've been paying them $30 a month to Target. Now we're going to add the $250 that we got from Lowe's that we're paying them, and we're going to pay them $280 a month. And once again, in a matter of a couple of months, you've got that debt paid off, Target is done, and you let the snowball build a little bigger. Now you're starting to knock out some debt, okay? You started with the lowest amount you owed to the person, whoever that was, and you just keep getting bigger and bigger, okay? Now we're going to take on our parents. Anybody ever want to take on your parents? Okay. We're going to take on our parents. You know, they gave us $1,600 for the air conditioning unit, and we've let the snowball build even bigger. We're going to take that $280. We're going to add the $200 that we've been paying them a month. And now we're going to pay them $480 a month. And once again, in a matter of a few months, you knock out the parents' debt, and so on and so forth. You let the snowball build bigger and bigger and bigger. You tackle each debt. Again, you start with the lowest amount you owe, and you work your way down, and you let that snowball get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you let it roll out, and pretty soon you've got everything knocked out, and it looks really nice, okay? You think you can apply that plan to your life? Even if you don't find any cash a month, once you pay the first one off, you add what you've been paying them to the next one down. And you let that snowball grow bigger and bigger. Okay? Now, how will this benefit you in the long run? Okay? If you just continue making the payments, minimum payments on this plan right here, like so many people do, they just make the minimum payments. It'll take you 120 months to pay this one off. Just paying the minimum payments. 120 months. That's 10 years. Before you're out of debt, before you wipe everything out, and that's assuming you're not taking on any more debt. Okay, so 10 years. 10 years. If you do the debt snowball, your payoff time is not 120 months, not 10 years, but instead it's only 21 months. That's less than 2 years. That's on that plan we just talked about, okay? That's less than 2 years. That's a difference of 99 months. 99 months that you're not paying any debt. This gets better. After you pay off all your debt in just 21 months, you free up $1,110 a month. After letting that snowball get down to the bottom, you pay the last. You got $1,110 a month. What could you do with $1,110? Go to Disney! Just kidding. Just kidding. Well, you can do what you want, but let me show you something here. If you take that $1,110 a month and you invest in it, let's say 8% interest for the same 99 months that you would have been paying on that debt, at the end of that time period, guess how much money you're going to have? Over $150,000. Now, around here, that's a pretty decent house. Could you imagine buying a house with cash, paid off, totally debt-free, and being done with it? In 10 years. In 10 years. You can do that if you get crazy with the debt snowball. pray that this fires you up, and at least gets you started. I encourage you to get a plan. And again, it's all about glorifying God. Embrace the value of planning. And I pray this fires you up so that you can live a life worthy of God, that you can do this with the help of God. And as you're faithful to God, you can do this. You got to get a little crazy. You got to get a little weird. You got to get focused. But the more passion that you have about this, the faster it can be done. And the more good decisions you're able to make. Okay, now, some people are going to whine and complain today. Why was Jeremy talking about money in church? What in the world is going on? This doesn't even seem spiritual, man. I don't get it. You're going to go to lunch and you're going to complain about me. That's okay. It really is. But this is something that we should be teaching everyone. As a church, we should be responsible. As disciples of Jesus Christ, we as individuals should be responsible with God, with what God has given us. Right? This is something that we should be teaching everyone. Managing money is one of the most spiritual things that we do. It's one of the most visible outward evidences of where our heart is spiritually. Jesus said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Don't worry about this life. Let God take care of it, but you got to put Him in the center of your life. Jesus said, those who take care of much or little will be trusted with much. If you can't take care of what little God has given you on this earth, for this little time that we're here, how is God going to trust you with even more? We've got to be good stewards of what we have and what God has given us. So with sacrifice, with self-control, with planning, you can make a huge difference. What do you think your life could look like one day? No credit card payments, no car payments, no student loan payments, maybe no house payments? Look pretty good. All right? But what do you think you could do for the glory of God? For the glory of God, if you broke free from this world's broke system and lived for a while like no one else, so that one day you can live like no one else. Pray fires you, all for the glory of the one who gave His Son for you. It can be done. You got to have hope. You can't give up. You got to fight like crazy. Watch as God delivers you from the bondage of debt.